So continuing on our lecture, now we discussed about different technologies so far which have revolutionized the industry, which have revolutionized the business context. So what does the future hold? What would the future bring? Right? So there are endless possibilities. Can you share with the class a few that are becoming quite popular and which will become breakthrough technologies that will change the way we live, change the way we interact, change the way business is done? Any examples that you can share? Yes. There are so many. Can you at least share 2-3 examples of what might the future hold? No one. No idea what the future holds. Is that so? So no one can come up with an idea? So there are so many that are not included in this list. Anything that you all can share with the class? IoT concept, yes. Internet of Things, very good. Yes. Flying cars, okay. Artificial intelligence, yes, very good. Social robotics, yes. Anything else? (3D) printing is, yes, currently also very popular. Yes, good. Right. So likewise, these kinds of different technologies have emerged, which have completely revolutionized the industry, the way the business works, right? So what business looks today will not be the same in another 5 to 10 years. It will be completely different, right? Maybe a lot of people will be replaced by robots, who knows, right? So maybe there will be a lot of surveillance going on. Now these concepts of drones and everything have become popular, so surveillance will become very extensive. We wouldn't know, right? Even without us knowing, there will be a surveillance, extensive surveillance going on around. So have you watched this movie, The Circle? Anyone? Yes or no? No one. So if you have watched it, you would know what I'm talking about. How extensive connectivity leads to extensive surveillance as well, where what you do is no longer just for you to know, right? It's out in the open. The entire world knows what you're doing. Transparency. When there's too much transparency, what will happen, right? It's an interesting movie. If you have not watched it, I suggest that you watch it, right? And it gives you a lot of insights about these new technologies as well. Okay, right. So let's move on from that point. So any questions, please let me know, right? Then let's look at the impact of electronic communications on traditional businesses. So first it says, during the past 2 decades or so, managers at established businesses have had to determine how to apply new electronic communications to technologies. How to apply new electronic communication technologies to transform their organizations. So that is quite self-explanatory, right? So during the past few years, in established businesses, right? Managers in established businesses had the need of understanding, had the need of determining how different kinds of electronic communications how different kinds of technologies can be applied within their business context to transform their organizations, right? So maybe to increase their efficiency, maybe to increase their productivity, right? So there can be many different objectives, maybe to gain competitive advantage, maybe for the sole purpose of survival. How these communications can be used to transform their organizations, right? For different purposes, right? So existing businesses have evolved their approaches to digital business through a series of stages. So the businesses that are existing today, right, they have come a long way along a series of stages, right, in their digital business journey, right, in their different approaches that they use within their businesses, right, to digitalize the business, right, to transform their business in a digital context. Existing businesses have come through a series of stages, right, starting from a long way. So within this, innovation is relentless with the continuous introduction of new technologies, new business models, and new communications approaches. Now, innovation is happening at a very fast rate, right? It's happening at a very rapid rate. Why? Because of the introduction of new technologies, right? With the introduction of new business models, with the introduction of new approaches for communication. අපේ තාක්ෂණයට සිද්ධ වෙන අලුත් තාක්ෂණය කියන ඇස්පෙක්ට් එකේ සිද්ධ වෙන අලුත් හඳුන්වා දීම නිසා, අලුත් ව්‍යාපාර ආකෘති හඳුන්වා දීම නිසා, ඒ වගේම අලුත් sannivedana ක්‍රමවේදයන් හඳුන්වා දීම නිසා, අලුත් sannivedana ප්‍රවේශයන් හඳුන්වා දීම කියන මේ කාරණා ගොඩාක් එක්ක වර්තමානයේ වෙද්දී මේ ඉනෝවේෂන් නවෝත්පාදනය කියන එක ඊටාම දැඩි ලෙස ඊටාම වැඩි වේගයකින් ශීඝ්‍රයකින් සිද්ධ වෙන දෙයක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. Right? So what happens as a result? All organizations have to review new electronic and internet-based communications approaches for their potential to make their businesses more competitive. So due to this reason, right, organizations have been compelled to review different electronic and internet-based communication methods, right, to make their business more competitive. And in doing so, they also have to pay extra attention on how they are going to manage the risks that come along with these new technologies that they adopt, right? Now, organizations have to essentially, now innovation is happening at a very fast rate due to the introduction of these new technologies, right? So therefore, as a result, organizations are in the need to review how they can, use different electronic and internet-based communications in order to improve their business competitiveness, right? How to stand competitive in within their industrial background, how to stand out of the competition, how to gain competitive advantage, right? So they have to review the different options they have. So if a rival organization or if a competitor adopts a technology, adopts a communication method that you are not familiar with, or a technology that you are not able to deliver to your customers, then your competitor is at a competitive advantage compared to you, right? So therefore, they have to continuously review the options they have in terms of new electronic and internet-based communication approaches, right? How can we adopt these kinds of new communication methods to make our business stronger, to make our business more competitive, to increase the efficiency of our business, right? To make our business stand out from the rest within the industry. So organizations have to continuously review this, right, in order to stay competitive. However, in doing so, technology also comes at a price, no? What's the price you have to pay? The risk. There is a risk attached with this, right? There might be issues pertaining to security, right? Especially when it comes to, for example, online payments. there might be a lot of security measures that you have to take in order to ensure that you provide secure payment options to your customers or your other supply chain partners, right? And you might have to ensure that your performance is up to the expected level. What happens if there's a server breakdown, right? What happens if there's a bug in your website which you are opening up to the customers, right? So likewise, you have to continuously think about how can we mitigate the risk when we are adopting these new communication technologies? How can we mitigate any performance issues? How do we keep these technologies that we adopt, right, at the optimum level of performance? So those kinds of things you have to continuously manage, right? You have to continuously be up to date about these things, continuously mitigate the ongoing risks, as well as any performance issues you have to be able to troubleshoot. And you have to be able to have teams in place. You have to be able to have professionals in place to deal with these kinds of risks and performance related issues if such things happen, right? So, for example, many businesses are reviewing the benefits, costs, and risks of digital business technologies they are currently implementing as part of digital business transformation projects. So now when a business is transforming to a digital landscape, right? So this is a business transformation project that they are undertaking, right? So within this digital business transformation project that different businesses are undertaking, they have to essentially evaluate, they have to review what are the benefits of this new transformation that we are going to adopt, right? And also on the other hand, what are the costs that we have to incur in transforming our business into this digital format, right? And also, what are the risks associated with this initiative? For example, say a business is hoping to come up with a new e-commerce website. Then they have to essentially review what will be the benefits of having this website for the business, for different supply chain partners, for my customers. What are the benefits? And also on the other hand, what are the costs? What will be the development cost? What will be the maintenance cost? Right? Likewise, you have to evaluate, you have to review. And also, what kind of risks are attached with this introduction of the new e-commerce website, right? So whatever the digital business technologies they are currently implementing as a part of the business's digital transformation project, they have to review what are the benefits, costs, and risks attached to these new digital business technologies they are going to introduce. So next point says, at present, there are two key opportunities of digital transformation open to most businesses, right? So most of the digital transformations happening in the current context, right, can be discussed under two key opportunities, right? So the digital business transformation opportunities mainly can be discussed under two categories. What are the two categories? One is inbound marketing and the second one is mobile commerce. So through these two opportunities, right, businesses tend to make majority of their digital transformations, right? So now let's look at what is inbound marketing and what is mobile commerce. So inbound marketing. On the internet, it is often the customer who initiates contact and is seeking information through researching information on a website. Now, usually it is the case with you all as well, right? So it is any transaction most of the time is being initiated by the customer. I have some kind of need that I want to fulfill, some kind of want that I need to fulfill. So I go online, I visit a few sites and I do a keyword search related to fulfilling my requirement. So I initiate the contact, right? I seek for information. I research the information on the product or service that I'm looking for. Take something as simple as buying a mobile phone, perhaps, right? So before doing anything, the first thing that me or you or anyone would do most of the time is searching on the internet, right? So this can also be referred to as a pull mechanism. Now in the next point, it is elaborated. In other words, it is a pull mechanism where it is particularly important to have good visibility in search engines when customers are entering search terms relevant to a company's products or service. So when customers are initiating transactions like this, or when customers are initiating a contact with businesses like this, right? It is referred to as a pull mechanism. Where else did we talk about pull mechanisms? Does anyone remember? කාටරි මතකද අපි pull mechanisms ගැන කතා කරා? No one. So what happens in a pull mechanism? Pull කියන්නේ මොකද සිංහලෙන්? අපි අදිනවා කියන අර්ථයනේ තියෙන්නේ නේද? Right. So this inbound marketing is known as a pull mechanism. So what happens here? Simply in inbound marketing, what organizations try to do is increasing their visibility on an online platform, right? To make customers aware that they are present online and then they can fulfill the customer's requirement, increasing the visibility, right? It's a process of helping potential customers to find your organization, right? It's a process of helping the customers to find that you are there online, your organization exists, and that you can fulfill that customer's need or want, right? So how does this happen? When customers are entering keywords, or in other words, when customers are entering search terms, right? These can be studied by organizations to understand what are the things that are popular among customers, right? And in understanding this, organizations can devise mechanisms to make sure that their organization appears in the search results of those customers, right? If a particular customer is searching for a product or service, කවුරු හරි customer කෙනෙක් product එකක් හරි service එකක් හරි search කරනකොට එයා ඒක කරන්නේ keywords use කරලා නේද? මොන හරි search terms use කරලා තමයි ඒ search එක කරන්නේ. එතකොට search engines වලට හැකියාව තියෙනවා, right? Sorry, business organizations වලට හැකියාව තියෙනවා මෙන්න මේ කියන search engines එහෙම නැත්නම් keywords ගැන අවබෝධයක් ලබාගෙන ඒ තුලින් තමන්ගේ organization එක යම්කිසි search engine එකක ඉහළින් අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවානේ මොනවාද page rank algorithm එක ගැන එහෙම ඉගෙන ගත්ත මතකයි නේද කට්ටියට? එතකොට අපි දන්නවා list වෙලානේ එන්නේ search results නේද? එතකොට search results වල top results වල තමන්ගේ organization එක visible කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක සම්බන්ධව strategies හදන්න පුළුවන් company එකකට, organization එකකට, right? So in designing their websites, in designing the web content that they publish on these websites, in the kind of products and services that they offer to the customers, right? Organizations essentially think of these popular searches that customers do. And in embedding them to their organization, websites, advertisements, and etc., they try to increase the visibility of their organizations on an online platform, on a virtual platform, right? So that is how inbound marketing happens. So in order to do this, companies use search engine optimization, right? Like I mentioned, based on these keywords and search terms, how they can make their company name appear at the top search results of a particular search engine, right? Search engine optimization, they do blogging, then certain events that they hold, and also their presence on social media, right? Through these kinds of different strategies, they conduct inbound marketing where they try to increase the visibility of their organization on online platforms, right? So in doing so, businesses can create awareness of their brand, awareness of their organization in consumers' minds, and they can generate leads, which can ultimately lead to sales, right? So amongst marketing professionals, this powerful new approach to marketing is now commonly known as inbound marketing. So now you can see how this is a pull mechanism. We try to pull the customer towards our organization by increasing our visibility. I hope that is clear to everyone. If anything is not clear, please feel free to ask, right? Then the second opportunity of digital transformation that the businesses can exploit is mobile commerce. Importance of mobile commerce is evident from the fact that mobile web use surpassed desktop web use by 2014. So already usage of mobile has exceeded or surpassed usage of desktop for accessing web, right? So mobile web is more popular than desktop web, and it has already, this surpassing has happened back in 2014, right? The growth in popularity of mobile apps from the iPhone Store, Google Android Play, Microsoft Windows App Store, and other handset vendors is another significant development in mobile communications. So another reason that has contributed to the popularity of this concept is the growth in the popularity of different kinds of mobile apps, whether you're using an iPhone, whether you're using an Android supported phone, Microsoft Windows supported phone. So there are different app stores, right? And now in the current context, there is an app for everything. You name it, there's an app for it, right? So this growth in this app development, right? And the kinds of apps supported by different kinds of app stores has contributed to the popularity in mobile commerce as well, right? And on the other hand, it has significantly developed mobile communications, right? And increasing usage of mobile devices compared to desktop computers are evident from the next figure. So let's look at figure 1.1, where the usage of mobile devices, it shows how the usage of mobile devices has been increased when compared with desktop computers. And now if we look at this figure, right here, different countries are being listed, right? So blue color stands for desktop users, orange stands for mobile users. You can see how exceedingly the mobile consumer base has increased as opposed to desktop users, right? So when referring to this figure, we can see that mobile users consume more than twice the minutes versus desktop users. And if we take country-wise, in Argentina, you can see that it continues to have the largest number of mobile minutes per user, right? This shows the mobile minutes per user, right? So this actually demonstrates how average minutes per user is being consumed via desktop platform and via mobile platform. So if we consider Argentina here, we can see how the largest number of mobile minutes is catering at the moment, right? But this continues to change, right? Then previous research showed that 80% of mobile time was in apps rather than the browser, right? So it has been proven through research that rather than accessing a browser, more popularity was concentrated around apps, right? Actually, 80% of mobile time that a particular user spends on his mobile is being consumed for interacting with different apps, right? You do have to be careful in interpreting this though. Why do you have to be careful? Since Facebook, games, and utility apps will naturally have the greatest time spent, and browser use is still significant. So now these apps such as Facebook and different game apps, different utility apps, they usually have the largest time spent, right? Largest mobile time spent per user. Still, the browser use in this case can be significant, right? So interpretation, in interpreting this, you have to be therefore careful when it comes to mobile versus desktop, as well as how users interact with the mobile in terms of the mobile time that is that a person uses on a daily basis. Then in this figure 1.2, it has been illustrated the spending on mobile advertising, right? So here you can see starting from 2015 up to 2019, here the mobile ad spending in billions of dollars, how it has evolved, starting from 28.7 billion of dollars. When it comes to 2019, it has evolved up to 65.8, right? So the percentage change is being indicated here. And another important aspect is if we consider the percentage of spent over mobile ad, right? Mobile ad spending over the total digital ad spending, there's a significant increase over the years, right? From the total expenditure on advertisements, right? Ad spending on a digital landscape, the mobile ad spending is 72% when it comes to 2019, right? As opposed to this 49% in 2015. So you can see how much the concept of mobile, right, has evolved over the past few years. So if we look at the context today, you will be able to see that this has increased even more, right? However, we need to be careful with interpreting data on hours spent, since we spend most of our time on smartphones, checking email, and using social media, right? So that is pretty self-explanatory, right? So when interpreting this number of hours spent, right, on smartphones, most of it you use on checking either email or maybe in your case even more than email on social media, right? So therefore you have to understand that very carefully when interpreting how this data is being used by you when consuming different mobile applications and when you're using your mobile phone, right? The time spent on mobile phone specifically. So the reality is that while smartphone use is overwhelmingly popular for some activities such as social media, messaging, and catching up with news and gossip, right? So although the smartphone is very popular for checking social media, for interacting with your peers, and messaging, and keeping yourself up to date with news, and more importantly, gossip in the current context, isn't it? So gossip sites in Sri Lanka are very popular. If you look at the rankings, right? So the reality is that smartphone usage is mostly concentrated among these kinds of activities, right? Majority of consumers in Western markets also have desktop and tablet devices which they tend to use for more detailed review and purchasing. So now the usage of different types of devices is various among different types of countries, right? Still, the observation is that in the Western markets, not only mobile, right? It's not only concentrated around mobile, but also users or the consumers tend to look into options of desktop and tablet versions when they are reviewing different products and services, when they are searching for information, right? When they are conducting detailed review related to their purchase decisions and purchasing, right? So if we look at figure 1.3 here, now here it shows the impact of electronic communications on traditional business in terms of how different platforms are being used by different demographics or different demographic audiences, right? So the age category is given here: 18 plus, 18 to 34, 35 to 54, and 55 plus, right? So here, if you closely observe, you can see that this orange color represents mobile only platform. The platform is mobile only. The light blue bars stand for multi-platform, a mixture of mobile and other platforms, be desktop, tablet, a mixture, right? Then the darker blue stands for desktop only. Now, if we take 18 plus age group, right? If you take 18 plus age group, you all can see when compared with 2013, when it comes to 2015, right? If we compare the two, you can see that the multi-platform behavior has increased. At the same time, mobile only usage has also increased, right? When it comes to the age group of 55 plus, for instance, you can see how the most popular is still multi-platform, and mobile usage has once again increased, not up to the level of this age group of 18 plus, but still mobile usage has increased, right? Now come here to the age group of 18 to 34, your age group, right? So in your age groups, you can see that the highest percentage of, if we only consider mobile only platforms, now here you can see 20% is consumed in the mobile only platform in your age group, right? So these kinds of useful insights can be used by businesses in coming up with their marketing strategies, in devising new business plans, right? In their coming up with promotional campaigns, right? These kinds of things, and even in deciding what kind of products and services should we offer and through what kind of platforms should we offer these, based on which kind of platforms are popular among our target demographic audience, right? So these are very useful insights. Okay. So I would also like to share with you some interesting statistics with regards to Sri Lanka, right? When it comes to this digital business landscape. Let me share with you this report on
and all through the night.
This is on Digital 2020, right? Did you know that there's this kind of report being published in Sri Lanka, where you have access to all the data, all the statistics and trends to understand how the digital landscape of Sri Lanka works? So this is a very useful report. You also can download this. This is freely accessible. There's a lot of useful insights and statistics pertaining to how the usage of internet happens around the world and also in Sri Lanka, right? So if you look here, now the total population of the world is given, and out of that, see the mobile phone penetration, 67%. Internet penetration, 59%, right? Active social media penetration, 49%. So look at how powerful the mobile media is becoming, right? This is in early 2020, right? In January 2020. So it's an increase of 2.4%, right? An increase of 2.4%. And internet users are increasing as well. There's a 7% increase. There's a 7% increase when compared with January 2019, right? If we move forward here, you can see how internet penetration is happening across the globe. Right now, here in Southern Asia, 48%. Where do you see the highest internet penetration? Yes. Northern Europe, right? In countries, Western Europe, you see a high level of internet penetration, right? So these are very useful insights that businesses can use in devising their digital strategies, right? In devising their digital transformation projects, right? And now look at this here. What are the most used social platforms in the world? This is based on monthly active users, active user accounts, advertising audiences, or unique visitors, right? See, Facebook is still the most popular. Second, you have YouTube, WhatsApp, FB Messenger, and so on, right? So then when it comes to the Sri Lankan context, you also have to have an idea about what is happening in Sri Lanka now, right? So let's see. Out of the total population, now, once again, I highlight these data are from January 2020, right? So the look at this now. Mobile phone connections, 31.8 million, 149%. So look at how popular this mobile medium is among the population of Sri Lanka. Internet penetration in Sri Lanka is 47%, right? Social media penetration, 30%, right? So these insights, once again, are very helpful for Sri Lankan businesses, right? Or for organizations who are engaging in business, aiming the Sri Lankan demographic, right? Sri Lankan citizens. So these are very useful. Then if I share with you the internet use, right? How that happens. Total number of users on internet on any device amounts to 10.10 million. And as a percentage of the total population, the internet users is 47% in Sri Lanka, right? So there's an annual growth of 4.1% in the number of internet users, which is that's an indication that the internet medium is becoming increasingly popular, right? But among that, see, mobile internet reference share on social media users, right? Social media users accessing via mobile phones is 98%, right? So that means what? Now, almost all organizations in the current context, if they have a web presence, they tend to create a Facebook page. They tend to create a Instagram page, right? So they tend to be active on Twitter. So likewise, these statistics are very important for businesses in deciding how to reach out to their target audiences, right? I would also like to share with you something interesting. Where is it? Now, when it comes to social media, who do you think are more active? Is it the females or the males? More time spent on social media. What do you think? Any guesses on social media? What do you think? Yes? Yeah, any idea? Any guesses? Someone says females, someone says male. Most of you think it's female, right? Look at this now. Percentage of ad audience that Facebook reports is female is 32.8%, whereas percentage of ad audience Facebook reports is male amounts to 67.2%, right? So see how interesting that difference is, right? These kinds of insights are very helpful for organizations in understanding their consumer behavior, right? In reaching out to, like I said, different target audience. So I'm not going to share a lot of details on this with you, but if you have a chance, please do access this report and see there are many interesting insights, very informative, that you also can refer and get updated on, right? Okay, so moving on to the last part of today's lecture. So far, any questions, anything that you need clarifications on? Please feel free to ask them, right? So what is the difference between digital business and e-commerce? At the beginning of the lesson, I told you that we intend to distinguish, we intend to define the terms and to understand the difference between them, right? So the rapid advancement of technology and its application to business has been accompanied by a range of new terminology and jargon such as eCRM, e-retail, and e-procurement. So with the improvements that are happening in technology, right? And how it's been applied by different businesses, this concept has been referred through different terms such as eCRM, right? E-customer relationship management, e-retail, e-procurement, right? මේ වගේ terms ගොඩකින් මේ තාක්ෂණය අපි business organization එකක යොදවද්දී, right? ඒ සඳහා අපි මේ වගේ විවිධ terms පාවිච්චි කරනවා. Even though those terminologies are not important from an organizational perspective, they are convenient in defining the scope of the changes we are looking to make within an organization through using electronic communications. So although it is not important for you to, divert excessive attention on these terms or these labels, right? It's very important for you to know the differences between these things when you are defining the scope of what you are going to do within your business using different electronic communications. To what category does this change that I am going to do fall, right? This digital transformation project, what is the scope of it, right? To which scope does it fall, right? In deciding that, it is important for you to understand these different terms, right? Then, managers within an organization need to agree and communicate the digital transformation they are proposing through using digital technologies to employees, customers, and partners. So, within a business organization, the management need to have an agreement, and also they need to clearly communicate the type of digital transformation that they are proposing to implement within the organization, right? Throughout the entire organization, including their employees, including their customers and partners. They have to be aware of this change that they are making, right? It has to be clearly communicated, and there has to be a common agreement among the management regarding those changes or those transformations, right? So then we come to the definition of e-commerce. Now, very simply, most of the students, even if I asked today, you would define it in this way, right? E-commerce කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා මම ඇහුවොත් ඔයාලා කියන්නේ buying and selling over the internet, right? So when you define it in this way, most people think of a setting where you buy something over e-tailing facility, right? Like Amazon, for instance. You think of a setup like that, a consumer retail purchase, right? But e-commerce should be considered as all electronically mediated transactions between an organization and any third party it deals with. E-commerce is broader than that, than just buying and selling using the internet. When you think it's just a consumer logging to a website and buying something, no, right? It's wider than that in the sense that this encompasses, or this includes, the concept of e-commerce includes all types of electronically mediated transactions happening between who? Happening between an organization and any kind of third party it deals with, not just consumers, right? It can be the consumers, it can be your suppliers, it can be any intermediaries that are providing you logistics support, it can be an intermediary service firm such as a marketing agency, right? Anything, any electronically mediated transaction. So in this definition, non-financial transactions such as customer support and requests for further information would also be considered as part of e-commerce. So according to this definition, all electronically mediated transactions. So this includes not only financial transactions. මූල්‍යමය ගනුදෙනු විතරක් නෙවෙයි. මූල්‍යමය නොවන interactions උත් මේ e-commerce එහෙම නැත්නම් විද්‍යුත් වාණිජ්‍ය කියන සංදර්භයට ඇතුළත් වෙනවා. මොන වගේ දේවල්ද? අපි මොකක් හරි information එකක් request කරනවා company එකකින්. Customer support provide කරනවා. Right? Company එකකින්, business organization එකකින්. මේ වගේ දේවලුත් මේ විද්‍යුත් වාණිජ්‍ය කියන දේ කොටසක් විදියට සැලකෙනවා. Right? So from now on, if someone asks you what is e-commerce, don't just say that it's buying and selling over the internet. Right? Then, electronic commerce is not solely restricted to the actual buying and selling of products, but also includes pre-sale and post-sale activities across the supply chain. Then, this electronic commerce is not just the actual buying and selling, like we have already understood, but it also includes all those interactions, all those transactions that are happening prior to making a sale, as well as after a sale is happening, right? Not only the part where sale is actually being operationalized, but things such as pre-sale activities, such as ordering, such as looking up for more information, checking up stock levels maybe, right? Requesting information on the availability of certain products, right? Managing those kinds of things, as well as post-sale activities, maybe things like after-sale services, right? That are happening across the supply chain, entire supply chain from the point of origin to the point of consumption. All these things are being covered under electronic commerce, right? When evaluating the strategic impact of e-commerce on an organization, right? When we consider what is the impact of e-commerce on an organization, it is useful to identify opportunities for buy-side and sell-side e-commerce. You have to have an idea about what are the opportunities that are there on my organization's buy-side and the sell-side in terms of e-commerce transactions. Right? So this is depicted in figure 1.4. Here you have the buy side of your organization. Here you have the sell side of your organization. If we consider that this is your organization on the buy side and on the sell side, there are different types of e-commerce opportunities that an organization can exploit. ඔයාලට භාවිතා කරන්න පුළුවන් විවිධ opportunities තියෙනවා විද්‍යුත් වාණිජ්‍ය පැත්තෙන් buy side එකේ organization එකේ sell side එකේ කියන දෙකේ, right? Organization needs systems with different functionalities to accommodate transactions with buyers and with suppliers, right? So in order to facilitate different transactions, different interactions that happen between the organization and its buyers and also with its suppliers, the organization should have different types of internal systems, right? Different information systems serving different purposes, right? Maybe they can be in the form of, in the nature of finance, they can be in the nature of marketing, right? It can be in the nature of sales, right? Different systems should have to be there in order to support the transactions that happen between our organization's buyers and also suppliers. Buy-side e-commerce, as depicted in this figure. So what does it mean? Transactions to procure resources needed by an organization from its suppliers. So when simply we buy something from our suppliers, all the transactions that we initiate in order to facilitate that procurement, in order to facilitate that purchase, in order to facilitate that buying, we call it buy-side e-commerce. Very simple. Sell-side e-commerce, then pretty self-explanatory, right? What does it mean? Refers to transactions involved with selling products to an organization's customers. All types of transactions involved with selling your products to your customers, you simply refer it to as sell-side e-commerce, right? So here in this diagram, under the buy-side e-commerce, if this is an organization, there might be intermediaries who are supplying you different products that they are sourcing from different suppliers, right? And these suppliers have their own suppliers, right? And on the sales side also, there are intermediary organizations that are delivering certain products or your organization's services to certain customers, maybe business customers, for instance. And from them, these customers have their own customers to whom they sell in turn to the end consumer, right? So there are different layers in this buy side and the sell side, right? So you have to be able to understand the difference between the two. All right. So any questions on what we have discussed so far today? Yes? Any questions? Any clarifications that you need? Right, so there's a request on uploading the slides. Yes, so going forward, we will make sure that we upload it on time for you. So any other concerns? Anything related to today's lecture that you need to clarify? Any questions you have? Nothing, no questions. Everything is crystal clear, is it? Right, so if there are no questions, we can wind up the class for today. So thank you for your participation. And like I mentioned, do keep continuous engagement with the lectures. And for any concerns you have, you can easily contact Dr. Dushyanta, myself, or Ms. Piruni, right? Okay, then have a great day, everyone. For any announcements pertaining to this subject, we will make them available on the LMS. You can check our course page, right? Okay. Then thank you, everyone. Have a great day and stay safe. Hope we can see you soon. Okay.